Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about piano technique, which I like to define as one's ability to play patterns on the piano. So in music we have a lot of different patterns, and we definitely need our fingers to respond to the various patterns that there are in music so that we can play anything. So a couple things we need is one, metronome, and an instrument to practice on. So first things first, with piano, it really helps if you have weighted keys to practice on, whether you're playing on a keyboard or a real piano. The heavier the keys, the stronger your fingers will develop. So first exercise I'm going to show you is just a basic Hanon exercise. We're going to go really beginner to fairly advanced, all in one short piano tutorial surrounding technique. So Hanon exercise number 1, pretty simple, goes like this. Show one hand at a time. So you're going to skip the first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, you skip that first one. And then same pattern. 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2. Keep it going. Okay. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh man, this is pretty easy. Or you're thinking this is a bit of a struggle. So if you think it's easy, it is. It's not that bad. But what makes it challenging is the tempo. So for example, if I was going to play this 16th notes, or even much faster than that. Probably go faster than that too, and that, obviously is much more difficult to do than to play it slowly. So you think you've gotten down the Hanon exercise, okay, cool. Try it at 180 beats per minute, playing 16th notes, and you might be humbled. And then another thing is, with this particular exercise, you can do it in a bunch of keys too. So now I'm in D flat or D major, etc., etc., etc. So you can play it in all 12 keys. It's great for your hands, it makes them stronger, and it gets you familiar with just awkward fingering patterns. And then, of course, on the way down, let's say this exercise usually goes about 2 octaves up, 1 up to here, and then when you get around here at A, okay, so the last one, ascending, is at B. And then now on the way down you go skip, etc., etc. And don't worry, we'll get to some more interesting things. Keep going. Last one, G. And if you need to slow it down, remember that YouTube has a slow down feature. So if that was a little bit too fast for you, yeah, feel free to slow it down, and it'll be more clear that way. So that's like one of the most basic piano technique exercises. Someone who's never played before or someone very advanced could benefit a lot from an exercise like that. And that's from the Hanon Virtuoso exercises. I think there's 60 exercises in there, including scales and arpeggios. And the whole book is pretty good. Its only limitation is that the first 40 or so exercises are all in C major. So there's 12 keys. I mean, you could play those 40 exercises in all keys and you'd probably get a lot out of it as far as your technique goes. So other things I want to talk about today are scales, arpeggios. There's so many different scales. I'll just start with an atypical scale, like the C minor pentatonic scale. Sorry, let's try it again. So this would be a good one to do as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-note scale. So there's a lot of different patterns you can do. And of course you can do this with a metronome. So like if I turn this on to 115, 1 and a 2 and a 3. So if I did it 16th notes, or, see, my left hand needs to work on this one. So this one can be really fun. It's pretty simple. Yeah. And of course, you can mix that in with different notes. The cool thing about technique is you can create your own exercises. At the end of the day, the goal is to play piano well, and there's a lot of different ways to get there. So you can personalize your own exercises depending on the music that you're playing. For example, I like playing C minor pentatonic because sometimes I'm doing stuff like that, and it's nice to have a pentatonic scale underneath my fingers so that I can access it. And of course, C sharp minor pentatonic. And again, technique is just patterns, being able to play patterns. And so you have to learn a lot of different patterns. And so that's just one pattern. So yeah, going back to more basic things, if you don't know all your major and minor scales, you should learn all your major and minor scales. And so I'll demonstrate a little bit. So that's the C major scale. And it's really important that you get proper fingerings when you're playing these scales because they just come in handy. It's kind of like the Karate Kid, the whole like wax on, wax off thing. Without even realizing it, when you're playing music, your fingers naturally know how to move when you're playing complicated melodies as a result of scales. So if I was going to do like something like that, you know, McCoy Tyner Blues for Grins solo. It's like I never sat down and wrote down the fingerings to that, but I can do it the same way every time. Just because my fingers know how to move, and I've trained them how to move by working on my scales and my arpeggios. So I'm going to link a useful fingering chart for piano scales. In general, C, D, E, G, A all have the same pattern. So it's like you might as well learn that group together, C, D, E, G, A, because they all have the same fingering pattern. And of course, you might think to yourself, "Oh man, yeah, scales are super easy. I can play them. It's no problem." Turn the metronome on. See if you can play at least at 120 beats per minute. And that's 16th notes, and of course, you can take it another level. And of course, 120 is like, I mean, you're a bona fide intermediate pianist if you can play 16th notes at 120 beats per minute. Most professionals can play at least at 144. And much faster than that. And again, that's one scale. There's 12 of them, so you got to learn all 12 scales. And you'll have piano technique. And of course, arpeggios, which I'm a big fan of. There's many different techniques. So like, for example, C major arpeggio. one cool exercise is to take it through quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes. Let's see. Sorry. 1, 2. Minor. Eighth notes. Triplets. Sorry about that. And you can make it even more fun. You can play quintuplets, like groups of 5. I'm not going to try that right now. But yeah, you can play quintuplets or sextuplets. We have groups of 6. There's all different things you can do. And again, 100 is like the bare minimum for like, you're pretty good, you're decent. Like 16th notes at 100 beats per minute as far as playing your scales and arpeggios. So I know a lot of people don't want to play scales and arpeggios, but it's like, it's kind of a rite of passage. It's like, be able to do it and then never do it again, if you so choose. But to not be able to do it, I mean, it's not going to help you to not be able to play fundamental technical things like that. So that's it as far as the notes go. There's a lot of other technique too, like playing multiple notes at once. So like chords, for example, being able to play different inversions of chords. So that helps a lot. And of course, playing arpeggios will help you with that. And then of course, different chord voicings. So like, I don't know, let's say I like this voicing. I use that a lot. So what you might do as an exercise is take it through a bunch of different keys. Or and of course, that's like another technical exercise. You can do the same thing. Take that through a bunch of keys. Etc., etc. And there's all different types of chord voicings. So I call this, this is number 1, like technique 1 as part of Tutorial Tuesdays. I mean, this by itself represents like a good 6 months for anyone just starting out. But this really should get you started and get you to a point where you can produce quality sounds. And then the last thing I'll say about technique is you got to learn music. Learn reps so you can see what kind of technique you need. For example, Bach's C minor prelude is a really good piece for technique. It goes like this. Etc. So that's a great piece to check out. Chopin Etudes, like all of them. The one in C sharp minor is really good. Can't play it anymore, but it's still a great piece to work on. And then of course the Ocean Etude, which teaches you, like, it teaches you this pivot, this sort of pivot thing. And that's a lot of times the brilliance or the virtuosic kind of sound is from the repeated notes played really fast. So like it's pretty cool. That's what gives you that sound, like I was playing at the beginning. And so, of course, a great way to work on your rhythm at the same time, you know, use the metronome. And that's actually it. This is technique 1 as part of Tutorial Tuesdays. And you got plenty to practice there. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like. And, or you know, you can dislike too. Just keep watching the videos. And I hope you have a nice week.